On this beautiful Thursday. I hope everyone is doing fine. I am doing great. I just finished a very small short meditation that I do 3 times a day these days, and it's a meditation that helps me with abundance, and this is a topic that I really love. And today we're going to be talking about it during the live somehow at one point in time. Now, today we're going to be together for around 45 minutes to 1 hour, and I would love it if you can stick to the end, because at the end I have a very special invitation for you. So, without further ado, I'm going to start this live by sharing a very fun story with you. So, years ago, I think it was maybe 12 or 13 years ago, I was drawn into this beautiful adventure. I remember when I decided to do this, I literally was like so determined that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna enjoy it. And I was so determined that this experience was going to be one experience that I had no idea that I'm going to be talking about it one day like this, but today it is just the one best experience to start talking about, to focus on this topic that I'm focusing on today. So I went with a friend of mine at the time to a place called Fly Dubai, here in Dubai. And the experience was so beautiful. It was so amazing. And it really needed a lot of gut, a lot of courage to be done. It's not one for the fainted hearts, and it's not one for anyone who, God forbid, has heart problems to do. So basically what I did is I jumped out of a plane. And if you are someone who likes like thrilling experiences, this is something that you must do. So what happened, basically, I went with my friend and we were so determined to do this experience and to go for it. And we went, which was amazing. It was a beautiful experience, highly recommended. But the thing is that there were feelings during that experience that were very new to me. So we went up in the plane, and when you're not an expert in skydiving, you gotta go with someone and you gotta be attached to that person. Now, the instructor that I had was a very young instructor and very funny, but at the same time tricky. Yeah, so because he was telling me things like, I jumped, and one day the what do you call it now? My God, I can't remember. So the parachute did not open, and he was telling me all sorts of jokes about it. To him it was a joke, but to me it was like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, I'm about to jump from, I don't know what, 15,000 feet high, and you're telling me that one day you jumped and the parachute did not open. It was really very very intense to me and very scary at the same time. But I thought, you know what? This is not going to stop me. I'm not going to stop this. So I went for it, obviously. And at the very second we went to the door, the first thing that came to my mind was, what the heck are you doing, Maysoon? Are you crazy or what? You're going to be jumping like out of an airplane, a moving airplane. What's happening to your brain? So these were the words I was saying to myself. But then I was so determined, and I felt that this was going to be something that will, give me a lot of assertion about how fearless I was and how much I am determined. And once I set my mind to something, I can really make it happen. So this was for me like, there's no way, Jose, I'm going to stop this. So I'm going to do this. And we jumped. We jumped out of the plane. And that experience was so beautiful and so amazing. And I am happy to do this every day of my life. I remember when we reached the ground, and my friend was taking pictures and was taking videos, and he was like, how was it? And I was like, my God, I want to do this like as a job. I want to be flying people like through the sky with their parachutes. I want to be doing that. So it was that exciting to me. But the minute, like that split second of me standing at the door of the airplane and then jumping out of the door, that split second on its own was so defining to me, to how much how fearless I was. Now you would think, why are you telling us this story, Maysoon? How does it really relate to what you're going to be talking about today? Well, it does relate, because when I did that jump back then, and that was like maybe, like I said, 13 years ago, when I did that jump, I, in my head, believed 100% that I'm a fearless person. I thought nothing can ever stop me from doing anything that I want to do in my life. Boy, was I wrong. I was wrong. And there's no harm admitting in, me making a mistake, because me being wrong then made me really dive into understanding my fears. Because at that time I thought I was fearless, but then when my life continued on happening in front of my eyes, and I was mastering my life and going through my life, I realized that there are so many other hidden fears that I had zero clue about, that I knew nothing about, and that I had to fix for myself. And those fears were basically, for me, the major ones were three major ones. So I realized that there is a fear that I was holding inside of me that made me stuck so many times in my life, that made me question so many things that I wanted to do, a lot of things that I was really going for in my life. And that fear always kind of created a block for me. And that fear was me being scared of failing. A lot of people think that this is a very normal fear, and that, everyone is scared of failing. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a normal fear. These fears that we have are not things that we cannot control, are not things that we cannot fix. Because as we go through life, let me put it this way. When we were kids, go back into time and remember when you were a child. There was nothing stopping you to do things that were scary to others. Like if I go back to my childhood, or any child, even today, and these are the things that we always stop our children from doing, the dangerous things, like touching the fire, like putting your finger in the electricity socket, like, those dangerous things. But my point is, as a kid or as a child, fear does not exist for you or me. I remember, I was literally fearless. I would jump from, I don't know how high. Like for me, the concept of fear did not exist, and it doesn't really exist in any child until the parents start telling their children that, no, this is dangerous, no, you will hurt yourself, no, this will happen, and no, that will happen. And with those limitations that the parents start imposing on their kids, with those, the fears develop. But I'm not saying that they shouldn't tell the kids that this is dangerous and it will hurt them. That's true, as long as we are not creating in a subliminal way a lot of fears in our kids as they go through their life, fears that will basically stop them. And the one fear that is very, very important is the fear of failure. Now, the fear of failure comes with so many other things that develop, mainly because we are put in situations where expectations are too high. And this fear specifically, the fear of failure, it does start when we are kids. It does start by our parents, telling us and really imposing on us as kids the things that they want, the things that will make them feel happy, that will make them shine, that will make them, proud. Like, for example, asking their kids to be the top in their school and to get, the highest grades, and the expectations that parents start putting on their kids, and then those develop to more expectations that the other surrounding or the bigger environment starts putting on us as individuals. With those expectations develops or starts a fear of failure from within, and not just because of those expectations, but because of the consequences of those expectations. So let me explain. Let's say, for example, I am expected as a kid, and I was, to be quite honest, expected as a kid to always have high grades, to always excel in school, to always be at the top of the class. That pressure that my parents were exercising on me was not helping at all, and it was actually putting me under a lot of pressure, and because of that I really was not able to grow to their expectations or even reach their expectations. Now the thing is, why does fear develop from all of this? The fear develops because of the results of not reaching those expectations. So as kids, I remember I used to be scolded when my grades were not good. They used to shout at me. I mean, shouting was something very common in my household, but again, because of not reaching the expectations that my parents had for me, it wasn't something that was in my control, but because of their expectations, I became someone. And I only realized this later in my life. I didn't even know I had this. But I was always worried that no matter what I would do, I would fail. Because in my mind, subconsciously, and this is where our limitations are, they are all in our subconscious mind. It's not like we are aware of them and yet we accept them and we move forward with them. No, we don't even know we have them. Only when you start digging and when you start working on yourself, you realize that you have those limitations. And I'm talking about limitations that are not very, not common, because they are very common, but they're subtle. They're not very obvious, because there are lots of limitations that we create in our lives for ourselves because of traumatic experiences that we go through in our lives. But this is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the subliminal limitations, the limitations that are there in the background. They are lurking and they are stopping us, but in such a subliminal way, in such a smooth way, that we don't even realize that they exist until we start working on our self-development and until we go on that journey of figuring things out for ourselves and wanting to move from, a place of stagnation, a place of procrastination, a place of where our life is just a series of mistakes after mistake after mistake after mistake. And then, we want to know why this is happening. And the minute we start digging, the minute we start developing ourselves, we start seeing those limitations that we have. So the fear of failure that developed in my case from my parents expecting so much from me, and then when I moved forward in my life, I was putting those expectations for myself. And every time I had those expectations, I would be afraid of failing. Now, the beauty about this is that every single limitation that we have can actually be removed. And that's the beauty of working on your limiting beliefs, because your limiting beliefs, as they are called, they are limiting you. But they are also there to teach you specific things. You did not create them in your life just to limit you. You created them in your life to limit you for a very specific reason, for a very specific learning that you want to do, until you find that learning and you take that learning, and then you can get rid of those limiting beliefs so easily. It becomes like a walk in the park. I promise you, it's that simple. You just wanna be ready in your own time to go through that journey, to start working on getting rid of those limitations. So the first limiting belief that I discovered about fears is me being afraid of failing. And that was such a big thing that I got over. Because now, so what if I fail? It's a learning process. This is how we learn. This is how we progress. This is how we become even better versions of who we are. If we don't know the meaning of failing, we won't really be able to appreciate success. Think about it it's like simply as trying or eating something, you won't be able to know its taste unless you eat it, right? How would you know the taste if you don't eat? So for me to taste success, maybe it's gonna be gross, but I have to eat failure to taste success. So I have to really digest failure, really understand failure, and work on failure and overcome that limitation to really be able to appreciate success. And by doing that, I am already in the right track to get rid of all my fears related to failure. Now that's the first fear that I discovered I had, and I worked on it. I don't have it anymore, so yay. The second fear that is very, very common and very important is one's fear of always being not good enough. And that also develops, they kind of go hand in hand. If I give the same example of parents expecting so much from their kids, and how there's a certain standard that they have for their kids, and I'm talking about parents because a lot of those beliefs, a lot of like most of our limiting beliefs really, they develop in our childhood, right? We call them our core beliefs. So basically they develop with us as children, and we grow with them, and more beliefs start stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking on top of those, until it becomes very difficult to actually figure out what is that main belief, that is leading all of this. So the second belief that I'm talking about, which is being not good enough, is also a belief that is initiated in us as kids by our parents, by our entourage, if I may call it, not just the parents, because a lot of people, you know, during their lifetimes, they go through different phases. But as kids, uh, kids are so beautiful and so innocent and so, you know, in their own bubble. And what happens is when we are born and we are put in that environment, people start reflecting on us as kids, things that we don't even like know anything about. Like as a kid, really, you are fearless, and as a kid, you are full of love, and you are full of like unconditional love, and you are full of divinity, and you're full of you know, abundance and love and goodness and kindness. There is no child that does not have all these virtues. So I always say we come to this world as children, and we kind of learn our virtues throughout the time. But in reality, when we when we come to this world, we come with our virtues. We do have those virtues. We have them all. We are divine as children. There's nothing that we don't have. But because of the conditioning that we go through in our life, everything else becomes stacking on top of the virtues that we came with. So we kind of forget that we have them. And throughout our lifetime, as we go through life, and when we reach that point where we think, you know, I want to know more, or I want to, why are things happening the way they are happening? The minute we start those questions, this is when we start remembering that, oh my God, no, I am a good person, or I am good enough. But what makes me now today think that I'm not good enough? And that's when we start digging and trying to figure out, what is it that makes me think that I'm not good enough, and that being not good enough develops that fear in us of wanting to do things, of wanting to move forward. And we're always afraid because we truly, genuinely believe that we are not good enough, and that we're not going to succeed, and that we're going to be failing, and that we're going to be doing things wrong. And all of this is because throughout our lives, we were subjected to situations, or we were put in situations, starting with our parents, where we felt like we're not good enough. And this is a very common belief, people thinking that they're not good enough. And there's always this struggle of I want to do more and I want to excel, but there's something holding me back, and I don't understand what it is. And that's something that I had. I was always worried, like, what if what I'm doing is not going to be appreciated? What if what I'm doing is not good? What if what I'm doing is not up to the standards? But then again, whose standards? They were not mine. They were things that were imposed on me. And this is something also very major that I discovered while I was on my journey of self-discovery and of self-development, is that I want to be able to decide for myself. And that's exactly what I started doing. What are the things that, you know, are reflected on me, or that I am ready to take on, and what are the things that I'm certainly not ready to take on board, and that I can, you know, say no to, just because I want to make sure that I am good enough for the things that I want to do, if that makes sense. So that's the second kind of fear that develops throughout our life. The third kind of fear that develops throughout our life that I want to talk about is the fear of disappointing others. And again, I mean, if you go through those three, they kind of like go hand in hand together. So if you develop one of them, you probably have the other two. You know, if you have a fear of failure, you probably feel like you're not good enough, and you probably are afraid of disappointing others. So they kind of mingle. It's not like you can separate them. But sometimes they do come separately. They don't have to be completely connected. But I personally, I mean, I had them connected. I was always worried of disappointing others until one day I realized that, you know, this is my life. Why is it that I'm always worried of disappointing others? It's because this is how I was brought up. It's because at school we always had that comparison process that we would go through between, you know, the students. There's always that fear of disappointing the teacher. There's always that fear of disappointing the parents. There's always a fear of disappointing the friend. And there's always someone out of us that we are afraid to disappoint. And I also had that until I realized that, you know, maybe, just maybe, I want to start by not disappointing myself. And then I figured out that, oh my God, I am always worried about others and about what others think and what others believe and what others are expecting from me. And until I realized, I'm like, you know what? I want to be able to live my life following my own rules, following my own expectations, following my own standards. But for me to get to this point, I had to realize that I actually had those fears. So I was fearless on the physical aspect of things, that's true. But deep down inside, I had those major fears that were controlling a major part of my life until I started my journey of self-development and I started understanding what was limiting me to move forward in A, B, and C. And what are the things that I'm really worried about? And then I discovered those. And when I discovered them, obviously, I changed them. I released them. I released them from from their need of existence in my life. And like I said at the beginning, when we create those matters for us in our lives, we create them because we want to learn. We create them because we are learning. We are on a specific path to remember all those virtues that we came with, you know. And once we remember, we say thank you to those limiting beliefs and we release ourselves from them. There are so many ways that we can do this. We can do this through digging exercises. We can do this through special sessions. We can do this through neuro-linguistic programming. There are so many different ways that we can use to create, to remove those limiting beliefs and to actually create new programs that are actually helpful for us, that put us in the right, on the right track, that, you know, guide us to just go forward, and not just forward. We are going upwards. We're going to excel once we do this. We're not going to be stagnant, and we're not going to be moving in a, like a, well, stagnation is staying on the same level basically. So we're not going to stay on the same level, and we're certainly not going backwards. So the only way is up. That's a nice song too. I've been remembering songs lately. So the only way for us is up once we start working on our beliefs and removing them and replacing them with new programs that are working for our benefit. Now, the one thing that I've realized that's very, very important, I have noticed something when I started working on myself. Because a lot of people ask me, like, you know, yeah, but you know, when you start doing these things, you change. And this changes everything in your life, and you know, even the people around you will change. And I always say, what's the harm in that? So what's the main issue if people in your life change? People in your life change all the time. People in your life come into your life for very specific reasons, and they also leave for very specific reasons. And these reasons are you learning. Are you remembering who you truly are, why you are truly here, and what is the major importance of your presence on this planet? So, even if you change, the people who are supposed to be alongside your journey, they will stick, they will stay, they will be around you all the time, because they are still, their presence is still required in your life, because you're still learning from them, and they are learning from you, because it's a two-way street. You're not living on your own, and you're not going through this life all alone. So yes, you do change, and you always change to the better, and the people who are around you will change with you. If their existence in your life is necessary for your growth and theirs, they will not go anywhere. They will grow with you. If their existence in your life has reached the point where you have learned everything from them, and they have learned everything that they needed from you, they will just disappear. And they will not disappear like you will not have fights with them, or things will happen so smoothly that you won't even notice. And I want you to think about it, and I actually want you to do the exercise. Just think of the people you have had in your life before, and where they are now, and where you are now, and how you have learned things from them, from their existence in their life. Even though sometimes we have people who come into our life that teach us things or remind us of our virtues, but in a harsh way, in a tricky way. That's because sometimes some people find it find it faster for them to learn in that way. I know from myself, oh my God, the situations I've put myself in my life to teach me things, I tell you, they were not the prettiest situations ever. No, they were actually very bad. I was very hurt. I put myself in situations where I was taken advantage of. People were taking me for granted, and I used to victimize myself, and all of this because I was learning. But I could have done all that learning in an easy way, by the way. I didn't have to go through it that harsh way, but that was my journey. Now sometimes, if you are already starting your journey and you are aware, you don't have to go through your journey the difficult way, because there are some people around you who have done it the difficult way, and they have the solutions. So why not use those solutions instead of you having to go through those difficult ways of figuring things out? So that was like a between parentheses. Going back to the main topic, and these were the 3 fears that I had. And there are so many other fears. These are not the only fears out there, but these are the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. The second thing I want to talk about today is the limitation of scarcity, or the limitation of lack, or the limitation of thinking that we are not abundant. When we arrive on this planet, we arrive as abundant souls. We are abundant. We have an abundance of knowledge. We have an abundance of virtues. We have an abundance of imagination. Look at kids now. You don't have to remember yourself. Just look at any child now. The imagination they have, the abundance of imagination that they have is amazing. The abundance of love that they can give is amazing. So we come as abundant souls, as abundant beings into this world. And then again, with life, with the conditioning that we go through in our whole life, and with, things piling up in our subconscious mind, we start treating life from a scarcity point of view, from a lack point of view. And the more we go through life, and the more we put ourselves in situations where decisions are needed to be done, this is a lot of the time, this is where you can understand, or you can see, or you can figure out that you have a mind of scarcity, or you have a mindset of scarcity, or you are coming from lack, or you do not know what abundance is or how abundance feels like. And when you are in that place, most of the time what happens is you are someone who is always unwilling to take risks, and always on the, standing like, this is the opportunity and this is exactly where you will be. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, so this is the opportunity and you are right here, or no, this is the opportunity and you are right here. Like, there is no way for you to come closer and grab that opportunity. You are someone who avoids the risk, someone who avoids that conflict, someone who is always like one step behind. And if you notice these things on yourself, this is because in your mind you feel like you're not deserving, or you feel like this is not for you. You don't have what it needs, or you don't have what it takes to be that person. And that is a mind of scarcity. That is a mind of you underestimating you. That is a mind of you feeling that you are not, that you don't have everything that this opportunity requires. And this is the mindset of scarcity. This is a mindset of lack. And if you really dig deep, you would realize that it's not really true. Because again, as we come to this world, we have all the knowledge. And then throughout life, throughout the conditioning that we go through, we forget everything that we know. And our life is somehow the school that is reminding us of everything that we know. And the more you remember, the faster your journey to that divine timing where you will start thinking of, doing your own self-development. It's like there is a very specific time for every single one of us. And I truly believe that every single one of us is going to get to that time in their own time, because it is, after all, your divine timing, my divine timing, his, hers, everyone's divine timing is different. But I truly believe that we all reach that time one way or another, ideally in this lifetime, so that we can all witness an amazing revolution, I say, because it's a good revolution. I'm not talking about hitting and creating chaos. I'm talking about the revolution that is going to set things right on this planet, on this beautiful, beautiful planet. So people who have a worry, or they kind of avoid taking risks, and they avoid finding opportunities for themselves, this is because they are living in a scarcity mindset, or in the limiting belief of lack is just lingering there all the time somewhere. The second thing that means that you have scarcity, or you are in a scarcity mindset, is when we are sitting and always comparing ourselves to others, and always putting others as like a benchmark. They have this and they have that, and he is this and he is that, and there's always a competitor out there. Like, there's always someone out there who's going to compete with us, and we have to compare ourselves all the time to others. This is not a like, because some people think that comparison is a healthy thing, and truly it's not. Because comparison, first of all, creates a lot of conflict between you and yourself. Because then you would start thinking, oh my God, I'm not good enough. And we go back to the same process, you know. You will notice when you start working on your limiting beliefs that so many of them, they go hand in hand together, or they just entangle with each other, because they all have very similar limitations, or very similar conditions, or very similar aspects that they entangle all together. But always comparing yourself to others and always looking at everyone else as a competitor, this is definitely coming from a mindset of scarcity. Because if you are competing with everyone, or if you want to compare yourself to everyone, it means that you don't have the things that they have. It means that what they have is more than what you have. And this is like, you know, when you talk about it like this, maybe you will realize, oh my God, yeah, this is lack. This is me thinking from a scarcity point of view, instead of thinking that I have everything that I need to be successful. I have everything that I need as a person to be joyful. I have everything that I need to be happy. I have everything that I need to be loved. So instead of coming from this space and this place, we come from this place, which is, oh, they are better than me. Oh, I wish I had that. Oh, they are, you know, doing things better, and they have a better car, they have a better life, they have a better husband, they have a better wife, you know, all of this. Oh my God, I'm doing rhyme. So instead of being that person, and this is also a belief that we can work on. I mean, all the limiting beliefs are things that you can work on. It's not just one or two. Every limiting belief that you have, and believe me, sometimes there are limiting beliefs that you think there's no way this can be fixed. And when you start working on your self-development, there's nothing called there's no way. There's always a way. And there's always something that you can do about your limitations, or about any limitations that you face. And there's one thing that's very important that's just crossed my mind now, is that those limitations, if we leave that door, or the door of those limitations, as open as it is all the time, this is where a lot of our physical manifestations come. The limitations that we go through, and the limiting beliefs that we have, the more they develop and the more they stack up, the more dangerous they become to our physical manifestation, the physical manifestation of those beliefs in our body. And this is why people get sick. This is why people develop bad sicknesses and bad illnesses and bad diseases, because these diseases don't just come out of nowhere. These diseases are the result of so many limitations and so many inhibitions that we have put on ourselves, that with time. And that's why, I mean, today everyone thinks that stress and overwhelm, they are called the disease of the century for a reason, because they create so many other diseases and so many other limitations for us as human beings in our physical body. So that's the second one, the comparison. Now the third one, that's where I'm talking about scarcity mindset. The third one, which is also very important, that happens because of a scarcity mindset, is we develop we as people, not you and me, but we develop a very low self-esteem. And I'm glad to say, I think, I never had that. But I personally think I never had it. But some people might look at me and say, maybe in very specific situations, that I had low self-esteem, God knows. But I do remember that I had a mindset of scarcity. Yes, that's for sure. And I worked on that, and I released that. And when I released that mindset for myself, I became so abundant with so much. So I became so resourceful. I had so many ideas. I became that abundant with everything, not just the financial side of things. I want you to remember that abundance is not only about money. Yeah? Abundance is about everything. And when we think of lack, we don't think of lack or scarcity. It's not only about money, it's about everything that we go through in our lives. I could be feeling scarcity in feelings. Sometimes a lot of people have lack in their own feelings. They don't know how to express. They don't know how to love. They don't know how to cherish other people. And they don't know how to love themselves to start with. And this is where low self-esteem comes from that kind of scarcity. So remember that abundance is not only about financial, and it's not only about the physical abundance of things or the material abundance of things. Abundance is like a huge repertoire. There are so many things that you can be abundant. You can be abundant with your smile. You can be abundant with your softness, with your tenderness, with your kindness, with your love for others, with your love for yourself, with your love for nature, with your love for animals. All of this is abundance. It's not about you having a lot of money. And it's not about you having that financial support that will make you thrive all the time. I mean, money is good and it's amazing because money is energy at the end of the day, and having money helps you do a lot of things. And that's why money is important. Money is important because it helps you thrive by fulfilling your requirements from this life, or fulfilling your not requirements, I would say fulfilling your journey, or fulfilling your own presence in this life, but money on its own has no value if you don't put a value to it. You can have millions and millions of dollars stacked up in a bank somewhere, but never using that money. So that money has zero value. At least in my own opinion, that money would have zero value if you're not really using it, or if it's not here to help you grow in your life. And help you, and growth is not only about you. It's about you, and it's about everyone else around you. Because you don't grow alone. When you grow and you take everyone who is somehow connected. We call them soul family, somehow connected to you. They will grow with you, and they will come with you in that journey. Not physically. Just remember that, because a lot of people think that I'm talking about these things physically, and they're not. These are not physical things that will happen, but you will sense them and you will feel them. So that's the third thing that happens, that scarcity in self-esteem, and you become someone who has low self-esteem. Those are the three things about lack. So the three things about fear that I spoke about, the main things are failure, the fear of failure, the fear of not being good enough, and the fear of disappointing others. And the mindset of scarcity, I spoke about avoiding opportunities and avoiding risks, and not finding or not seeing the opportunities, because usually opportunities are literally right in front of you. And when you come from scarcity, you just don't see them, And then comparing yourself to others, comparison and competition. These are two, they come hand in hand, but they are a reflection of a mindset of scarcity. And the third one that reflects a mindset of scarcity is having a low self-esteem. So check things out. See if there is something that you can notice about yourself, and maybe this is something that you want to work on. And the last thing I want to talk about today is love. I always talk about love, and love for me is a feeling that we are born with. We come to this world normally normally, I mean, as a fruit of love, you know. Sometimes it's not the case, but normally it is. We come to this world as a fruit of love. And I like to think about it that we come to this world because we are loved by the Creator. We are loved by the highest energy of them all. And that's why we are here. We are on this journey to develop. We are on this journey to become the best versions of who we are. We are on this journey to remember. It's a journey of remembrance. It's not a journey of just learning. It's really, for me, it's a journey of remembrance. When I started my journey, I was thinking, I really thought that it was a journey of learning. And the more I went through this journey, the more I realized that I actually knew all of this. I know all of this. I just did not remember it all. Because remember, our being is 5% awareness and 95% subconscious. So those 95% are what we want to tap into, are what we want to see, are what we want to dig into, to know, remember who we are, what we have, and really take all that knowledge and become so powerful with it to help us. And by helping us, we obviously help everyone around us, because that's how life works. When you are in this space of knowing, it's not something that you want to keep for yourself. It's never the case. I've seen it, like, nobody who is in this journey wants to keep those learning to themselves. They all want to help. They all want to make sure that, you know, oh my God, this is such, like, this kind of information cannot be hidden from people. This kind of information is something that we are bound to give to others so that we can all elevate together. No one on this journey wants to elevate alone, believe me. I know it because I'm experiencing it, and I've seen so many people experience it, you know, in my life, because now these people are my friends. These people are the people who are in my life, and I know that when they are on this journey, and as they experience this knowledge that they have, and if you dig into it, you will see that the most important part of it is based on love. Love for oneself starts from there. And when I say love for oneself, I'm talking about acceptance. I'm talking about you looking at yourself in the mirror and loving what you see, loving who you see, with all that there is about you. So all your characteristics, all your pros, all your cons, everything about you, when you accept, and that's very important, self-acceptance as number one is the number one thing that will make you feel, I call it the love, because it's not love, you know, the romantic love. That's not the love that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the love, which is you appreciating you, you loving you, you knowing you, and you living with you for you. So this is the first thing that I want to mention about love today, or the love. So self-acceptance. And self-acceptance is a limitation because a lot of people don't accept who they are. And I'll tell you one thing. If we have any doubts about who we are and we never accept ourselves, we will always be in this dilemma of not accepting ourselves. What I've noticed is, and I've noticed it on myself, I've noticed this on people around me. The minute you truly, and I'm saying truly because it's not something that you can lie about to yourself. It's not like you are lying to someone, or it's something that's between you and you. You can't lie about it to you, right? So the minute you get there, really, vulnerably, honestly, with all genuinity possible, like genuinely you get to that place where you are genuinely accepting who you are, only then you will start seeing the things that maybe are not to your benefit will start going away. And once you get there, there is no more expectations from yourself towards yourself. It becomes a journey of pure love to who you are. When you get there, this is where, if you are sitting among 100 people, the only thing that you will be emitting is love. I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, hope that every single woman and man out there can really develop and harness and flourish in that feeling, because that feeling is what makes your aura shine. It's what makes your aura thrive. It's what makes everybody looking at you when you go inside a room, because this is the energy that you are emitting when you genuinely accept yourself and love yourself for who you are. Now this, to some people it comes very naturally, and some people go through hard time to get there. I was one of them. I didn't love myself enough. I didn't accept myself enough. And I realized I didn't do that because I had so much work to do on myself. And that work was because I had so many wounds. And that's the second thing I want to talk about when it comes to love, or the love, is that those wounds that I talk about them all the time, the mother wound and the father wound and the inner child wound, these three wounds are very critical to get over, and to fix when you want to really get to a point where you accept yourself. So that acceptance will come naturally once you work on those wounds and really get over those wounds. And you can. I always say this: if I could do these things, anyone out there could do them, because I am like as normal as it gets. Trust me. There's nothing like extraordinary about me. I am as normal as it gets. And I got here because I accepted that and I figured that out, and I got rid of all those limitations. I kind of like, it felt to me like I was in a prison, and I just literally was able to remove all those bars that were surrounding me, and now I am free. And that is what you get: freedom. I mean, imagine how powerful that is once you start working on your limitations and get rid of them and become the best version of who you are, because you're already an amazing version. Don't get me wrong. All of us, we're already amazing people. We're already amazing versions. We just have so much so much more that is hidden that we want to really let it shine. And the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to the love, and that's very important, is to learn how to live in the present moment. I used to be that person. I used to be the person who lingered in the past. Oh my God, I used to live in my past all the time. Like, why did this happen to me? How could he leave me? How could my mom do this to me? How could my father do this to me? How could my brother? How could my sister? How could my friends? And all of this, it was always like that. It was always that person who is living in the past. And then there's the future. I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And without even knowing what was happening, is my present time was passing by, and I was not really living it. I was not taking advantage of the moment. And that moment was always passing me by, and I was not living it. So learning how to be present is such an amazing gift to master. And when I did that, when I understood what it means to be present, I can assure you that everything that I can envision for myself in the future, I know I'm getting there. This is how certain I am, because I'm living in the present moment, because I am doing things in the present moment, and I'm not lingering in the past and letting the past be the guide to my life. I've learned from my past. In that way, it is a guide, yes. But as long as I have learned and it's there on its own, and my learnings are with me, and I'm not just living in my past all the time, that means that I'm really savoring the present moment. And there's nothing. Time is an illusion. Time is only now. There is nothing else. What has passed has passed. There's nothing we can do about it. And what's coming is unknown. The best moment that we have, and the best moment that we really want to savor and we really want to live, is now. And with that, my dear friend, today's live comes to an end. So just as a recap, today I spoke about limiting beliefs and the 3 major ones that we develop throughout life. I think every single person out there has something to do with these limiting beliefs. Some of us have a lot more, and some of us might have a lot less, but we all have those. Fear, the mindset of scarcity, and the mindset of lack in love, the love. Now, if you think that you have those limiting beliefs, or you have some of those limiting beliefs, what I have been doing is I have been putting together this program that helps people get over all those limiting beliefs, all their limitations, not just these ones that I just spoke about today. And this program mainly helps you get out of those limiting beliefs and get out of making those mistakes over and over again, because the reason why you make those mistakes is because of the limitations that you have or that you create for yourself throughout your life. So this program kind of removes all those limitations, teaches you new programs, and helps you get out of your procrastination, helps you get out of your mistake repetition, and helps you declutter your brain and declutter your thoughts. And you have no idea how powerful decluttering your brain is, because then focus becomes your main thing. And with focus, there are so many things that you can do. Now, if this is something that is important to you, and if this is something that you want to help yourself with, all you need to do is let me know. And in the comments below, I'm going to share with you a link for a live call if you think that what I've just talked about, or if you are in a place in your life where you think that, yes, Maysoon, you are the right person and you might be able to help me with what I'm going through. Just go on that link, book that call, and let's get on a call together. We will talk. I'll get to understand where you are in your life, and I'll give you a lot of tools, even on the call, to help you with your current situation. And we'll figure things out. And by the end of the call, if everything that you have spoken about, and if my tools are the right tools for you, and if I feel like working with me will be really what you need, I will tell you how working with me looks like. So if this is what you feel like will help you and will support you, just click on that link, book a call, and let's get on this call together. And with that, I'm gonna wish you a great rest of the day wherever you are in the world. Have a great, happy, beautiful, fun, and exciting Thursday, and I will see you again next week. Ciao, ciao.